Terminators have just received another update, and although this isn't a complete rewrite of the faction, there are several changes here that are definitely worth understanding. We've got changes to our Force Dispositions, some useful points reductions, an important clarification to Gates of Infinity, updates to Argent Task Force, a few smaller range adjustments, and changes to both Voldus and several of our vehicles. Some of these are clear improvements, a couple of small nerves, and others are more complicated because their impact only becomes obvious once you look at how they interact with the new 11th edition court rules. So in this video I'm only going to cover what has actually changed in this latest update, but rather than that simply reading from the document, I'll explain exactly what each change affects on the tabletop. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe to Warpbane Tactics for more Grey Knight updates, lists and tactical discussions. Let's start with the biggest change, the Force Dispositions. Let's start with what I think is easily the biggest part of this update, the changes to the Force Dispositions. First is a Warpbane Task Force moving from Purge the Foe to Take and Hold. I'm honestly a bit heartbroken by this one because Warpbane with Purge suited exactly how I enjoy playing Grey Knights. It rewarded aggressive play, removing enemy units and using our mobility to keep applying pressure around the battlefield. Warpbane itself hasn't lost any of its detachment rules, hallowed ground, the support for purifiers, and all of its stratagems are still there. What has changed is the mission that the army is now being asked to play. Take and Hold places much more emphasis on controlling objectives, maintaining board presence, and being careful about when we use our teleportation. Picking a unit up is incredibly useful, but under Take and Hold, that decision becomes more costly if the unit was helping to control an objective. Warpbane can definitely still play that mission, but it's a very different game plan from the aggressive Purge style I had been enjoying. The other big one is Argent Assault, moving from Purge the Foe to Priority Assets. I think this one is just as important because Argent Assault was a very efficient way to gain access to Purge while still having enough detachment points available to combine it with something like Banishers. That Argent Assault and Banishers combination gave us the offensive benefits from both attachments while still allowing us to play Purge. That option has now disappeared. If we combine Argent Assault with Banishers, our available dispositions are now Priority Assets or Disruption rather than Purge. Priority Asset isn't necessarily bad, but it asks something completely different from the army. Instead of being rewarded primarily for destroying enemy units, we now need to protect specific objectives and build the list around maintaining control of them. So both Warpbane and Argent Assault have lost a disposition that naturally suited aggressive Grey Knight armies. The result is that Brotherhood Strike is now the only Grey Knight detachment that provides access to Purge the Foe. That doesn't automatically make Brotherhood Strike the best detachment, but it does mean that anyone who wants to continue using Purge now has a single route to it. We also have Immaterial Interdirection, which is moving to Reconnaissance. That is another change in how the detachment scores, although for me the biggest story is definitely the loss of Purge from both Warpbane and Argent Assault. So this isn't simply one detachment changing its missions. Two of the most attractive ways Grey Knights had to access Purge have now been removed, and that significantly changes the list building options we had before this update. Moving on to the points changes, and this is probably the most positive part of the update. Grandmaster Voldus has dropped from 140 points to 125, which is a welcome 15-point reduction. Voldus was already a strong option for Terminators and Paladin units, so this makes him easier to fit into a list without changing the role he performs. It also becomes more meaningful when combined with the reduction to Brotherhood Terminators. A 10-man model Brotherhood Terminators squad has dropped from 375 points to 360. That means Voldus leading 10 Terminators now saved a total of 30 points compared to before the update. That's extra room to upgrade another unit, give another unit an enhancement, or simply make a list that was previously slightly over 2,000 points work. The requisition thresholds have also been removed from Brotherhood Terminator squads. This means players are no longer penalised with increasing costs for taking additional Terminator units. It gives us more freedom to build around multiple squads, although Terminators are still a major investment and we'll still need enough units elsewhere to score and control the battlefield. Strike squads have also received a reduction. 5 models have dropped from 120 to 115 points, while 10 models have dropped from 240 to 230. These are only small reductions, but strike squads are often included because of the utility they bring rather than their raw damage output. They give us another mobile unit, help control objectives and support the wider mission plan. So making them cheaper is simply useful. Finally, both of our smaller transports have dropped by 10 points. The Rhino is now 70 points, down from 80, while the Razorback is now 75 points, down from 85. Neither transport suddenly becomes essential because of a 10-point reduction, but they are easier to justify for players who already wanted protection, additional movement, or a delivery option for power armoured infantry. Overall, none of these reductions look excessive, but they make several units easier to include and give Grey Knights players a little more flexibility when finishing a list. Next, we have the latest rules updates, and there is quite a lot packed into this section. Overall, I think this is mostly positive, although there are a couple of small range reductions to be aware of. Starting with Gate of Infinity, this has essentially returned to the way Grey Knight's teleportation worked during 10th edition. At the start of 11th, if your opponent went first and we picked up 3 units at the end of their turn, we couldn't bring those units back down during our first movement phase. We could then potentially pick up another 3 units at the end of their next turn, leaving us as many as 6 units sitting in reserves and waiting until turn 2 before they could return. That protected those units, but it also removed a huge amount of our board presence, objective control and damage output during the opening battle round. The updated wording now places those units into strategic reserve and allows them to make an ingress move during our next movement phase, including our first turn. So if our opponent goes first and we pick up 3 units, we can now bring them straight back down during our first movement phase. This isn't really giving Grey Knights a completely new ability. It is more like Games Workshop restoring the smoother teleportation system we were already used to during 10th edition, and that is a very welcome improvement. Moving on to the Orgrim Task Force, the first update is 1 foot in the future. The D6-inch normal move was already part of the enhancement. What has changed is when that movement can trigger. Previously, it triggered when the bearer's unit was set up during our reinforcement step. It now triggers whenever that unit ends an ingress move. From my reading, that means we could use rapid ingress during our opponent's turn, set the unit up and then immediately make a normal move of up to D6 inches. I can't see anything in the updated wording that limits this to our own turn. It simply says whenever the unit ends an ingress move. That could allow us to rapid ingress somewhere safe and then move completely behind a wall, step onto objective, improve our screening or simply position the unit more securely before our next turn. The unit cannot declare a charge for the rest of that turn, but if this happens during our opponent's turn, that restriction usually won't matter. We should still be able to move, shoot and charge normally during our following turn. That is my understanding of the wording though. If I missed another rule that prevents it from working during the opponent's turn, please let me know in the comments, because at the moment I can't find anything saying it is restricted to our own turn. The second Orgrim Task Force update is to aggressive anticipation, which now allows the selected unit to re-roll hits rolls. That is very useful consistency improvement because it works during both the shooting phase and the fight phase. It gives an important unit much more reliability on output when committing into key targets, whether that is a Terminator squad, Paladin unit or Dread Knight. It can also be useful with the Brother Captain, generating critical hits because of the full re-rolls give us the option to re-roll successful rolls, results and fish for more critical rolls when the situation calls for it. We then have a few distant changes from 9 inches to 8 inches, Shadow's Anarch and precognitive strategies now require the relevant enemy unit to come within 8 inches rather than 9 before they can trigger. These are definitely small nerfs because the opponent now has to move 1 inch closer before we can use those reactive movement tools. That slightly reduces the area they can cover and means we'll need to be more precise with our positioning. However, the actual effects haven't changed. We still receive the reactive movement or the option to move the unit into strategic reserves. The trigger range is simply 1 inch smaller, so I don't think either stratagem has suddenly become bad. Finally, Sigil of Exigence has also changed from 9 inches to 8 inches. The enhancement itself is basically working in the same way. If the bearer's unit is selected as the target of a ranged attack, we can still react by repositioning it or removing it from the battlefield and placing it in the strategic reserves. It can also react when an enemy comes within the required distance, but that distance has now reduced from 9 inches to 8 inches. So this is technically a small nerf because the enemy needs to come 1 inch closer before that part of the enhancement can trigger. The positive part is that Sigil is triggered during our opponent's first turn and we choose to remove the unit. We can now bring it straight back down during our first movement phase rather than waiting until turn 2. The FAQ confirms this, that Sigil can be used during the opponent's first turn, so there is no uncertainty around triggering it immediately if the bearer's unit comes under pressure. Overall, this page is mostly positive. Gates of Infinity has returned to the smoother system we were used to in 10th edition. Orgrimmar has received 2 useful improvements, and while some of the reactive ranges have been reduced slightly, none of those changes feel devastating. Finally, we've got the latest datasheet updates, and unfortunately poor Voldus has taken a bit of a hit here. First, several Grey Knights vehicles have gained the frame keyword. This applies to the Land Raider Crusader, Land Raider Redeemer, Razorback and Rhino. This doesn't directly change their weapon profiles, movement or durability. It simply makes sure that those vehicles interact correctly with any rules that specifically reference the frame keyword. Then we come to Grandmaster Voldus and his Sanctuary ability. Previously, Voldus gave his unit -1 to hit against both ranged and melee attacks. His updated ability now gives the unit stealth, while melee attacks targeting that unit still suffer -1 to their hit rolls. In melee, his protection remains largely the same. Enemy units attacking Voldus and the unit he is leading will still suffer -1 to hit. The range protection is where he has taken the hit. Stealth now provides the benefit of cover rather than applying a separate -1 to the hit modifier. That means if Voldus and his unit already have the benefit of cover from terrain, stealth provides no additional protection because multiple instances of the benefit of cover do not stack. Previously, Voldus' -1 to hit could work alongside cover, meaning the unit could benefit from both defensive effects at the same time. Now, if Voldus has his unit and his unit are already positioned in cover, the range part of the Sanctuary is effectively doing nothing extra. This matters because Terminators and Paladins will often be using ruins and other terrain to protect themselves anyway. It also means weapons or abilities that ignore the benefit cover can bypass the range protection provided by stealth. So this is definitely a nerf to Voldus' range durability, although it isn't the end of the world for him. He is dropped by 15 points, still provides -1 to hit in melee, and remains a strong and thematic leader for Terminators or Paladins. But compared to with the more universal defensive protection he had before, Sanctuary is now much more situational. Poor Voldus gets a points reduction with one hand and then loses part of his durability with the other. And that covers all of the newest Grey Knights changes. Updated dispositions, several useful points reductions, improvements to our first turn teleportation, a few smaller range reductions, and unfortunately a defensive nerf for Voldus. And that covers everything. There are definitely a few disappointing updates in there, particularly losing Purge from both Warpbane and Argent Assault, but we've also gained some useful points reductions and improvements to how our teleportation works during our first battle round. I'll be getting some games in with these changes and seeing how they affect the army on the table. Let me know what you think of the update in the comments and which changes you think will have the biggest impact on Grey Knights. Thank you again for watching and for all the support on the channel. Remember to like the video and subscribe to Warpbane Tactics, and I'll see you in the next one.